Hello, I have started reading a new book. It is a book I bought on a whim several months ago, and I keep meaning to read it, and I haven't read it, but now I'm reading it. And it's called A Broken Blade by Melissa Blair, and it's by a Canadian Anishinaabe Kwe author, so First Nations. It is a fantasy series. Basically, the premise is this world has mortals, so humans, and fae, and there was like a war between them, and the humans pushed all the fae out of the like lands that they're in, and there are some people who are offspring of both humans and fae, and they are called halflings. Editing Rachel here. Sorry if you can hear the kettle boiling in the background. I got this wrong. There are fae in this book. There are also elves, and there are halflings who are the offspring of humans and elves. So I don't know if I correct that later in the video. I'm pretty sure I don't. So I wanted to make sure I corrected that here. So fae are banned from the king's lands. It's called Elverath, I believe is the kingdom's name. Fae are banned from the lands. They're to be killed. And halflings are considered property of the king and are to serve him. And if they refuse to serve him, they will also be killed. So our main character, Kira, is a halfling. That's why her eyes are all shiny on the cover. And she serves the king as his blade, which essentially means she is like a spy assassin type situation. So she goes around the kingdom finding enemies of the king or people conspiring against the king, and she gets information from them, she tracks them, she kills them. However, as of the beginning of the book, there's a figure that's been going around that people are just calling the Shadow, and he's maybe kind of sort of stirring unrest about the king, and there's concern about like, who is this person, what is he doing, how is he evading, because he's evaded Kira before, so like how has he escaped her, like all this stuff. There's also unrest brewing with a like another, not another kingdom, but like a region within the kingdom, like the lord there's some unrest. I'm not going to get too into it, but so she's being sent off on a mission to contend with that, but also in the background this stuff is going on with the Shadow. I've read 35 pages so far. It's pretty good. I'm enjoying it. It's not like amazing. There's some moments where the writing is a little but I do like the concept. I'm having a little bit of trouble following some of the like lore and world building. There's a lot given pretty early on in the book. So I'm like, it's just a lot to follow, but it's also one of those books where like there's a lot of capitalized terms. I will say so far they all make sense. Like mortals and fae and halflings, those are all like species designations essentially. So I'm like, I kind of understand that being capitalized. And then there's also like job titles, like important job titles like Blade. Like I get it, but it is a lot to follow. I will say I'm also definitely noticing parallels in this book between how fae and halflings are treated and how like real world indigenous people have been treated, especially like in Canada's history, you know, stuff like blood quantum and being taken away from families and being considered owned by the state and stuff like that. So that's the kind of thing that I feel like a lot of readers maybe wouldn't pick up on. Like if they don't already know about that kind of stuff, they probably wouldn't see those parallels. But like as someone who has studied that stuff, I see it very prominently. So to me, it's really like obvious and a little heavy-handed, but I think most people would just be fine. Anyway, I'm excited to finally read it. I really hope I like it. And I don't know how often I'll give updates. It's how long is this book? It's like 400 some pages, so maybe I'll update again at the 100-page mark or something, because that'll be a quarter of the way through. Anyway, that's enough for now. Those are all my thoughts. I will update when I update. Recording a quick clip while I wait for my food to finish cooking. I am 125 pages into this book, and I'm enjoying it. Sometimes the writing, like on a prose level, like a line level, it feels like there needed to be more editing. Like just certain lines will be a little confusing to read, or like phrases, like the same phrase will be used twice really close together. But like plot wise, it's fine. Nothing like, you know, astounding yet. I am enjoying some aspects of like the politics and world building here. Like this doesn't shy away from the idea of resource hoarding and the impact that has on like the general population. It's I appreciate that like the premise is that the king wiped out all the fae, or was it all the fae or all the elves? I'm still a little confused about the distinction between the fae and the elves. I'm not gonna lie. I think it was, yeah, I think it was they thought they wiped out all the elves, but then the character for reasons has gone into the Feylands and like is already seeing elves. And so like I appreciate that of like it's not that you actually wipe them all out, it's that they fled. I have mixed feelings about, there's a moment with the shadow, and I'm trying not to get too into spoilers, but there's a moment where a thing happens that feels very like, let's say, intensely shippy. Like I assume this is going to be a pairing in the story, but it like in the context of the scene, it doesn't really make any sense. Like, I don't know why that happened, but I'm assuming as we learn more about the shadow and like more about Kira, it will make sense. But like, even in light of that, Kira hasn't interacted with the shadow very much, and most of her thinking about the shadow is thinking about him as like a mission objective kind of thing. So I do appreciate that. Like I don't know if this is supposed to be romantasy, but if it is, I appreciate that it's not entirely taken over by the romance or like that tension. I appreciate that the character has more going on than that. I also like how the alcoholism is being represented. It like really fucks Kira up, especially in like the first chunk of the book, and now she's like still dealing with like withdrawal and stuff. She gets like this elixir that helps her, but like it's an ongoing thing that she's like always contending with, so I do appreciate that. I am interested to see where this goes. I already have some theories about certain characters we've been introduced to and what connection they may or may not have to the shadow. I'm already wondering if the shadow is more than one person. And there's been a few references to a woman in Kira's past who was like another trainee for being part of the they're called the Shades, and they're the essentially assassins who work for the king. And like there was another girl who was training to do that alongside Kira, and I'm curious about the specifics of their dynamic because I can't tell if it was supposed to be just a friendship or if there was supposed to be like a romantic entanglement there as well. So I'm curious to learn more about that. But anyway, those are all my thoughts for now. I will keep reading and I will update when I feel like I have an update. There's my food. Hello, don't mind my appearance. I'm all cozy on my couch after having a nice warm bath, during which I read more of this book. She's peering at you. I'm doing reading sprints. Well, I'm not doing the reading sprints. A YouTuber I follow is doing the reading sprints, Books and Lala, and so I'm reading this book. I don't know if it actually meets the reading challenge that the reading sprints are for, but whatever. All of that is to say, I read another like 30 or 40 pages, and I'm enjoying aspects of it, but there continues to be issues on like a prose level, and also there was just this scene where the main character, Kira, is like, you know, spying and listening in on a conversation. And it's a conversation about her and people debating if they can trust her, which is entirely fair. Her job is to kill people. So, you know, pretty reasonable for people to be like, is she going to kill us? Should we kill her? But there's this woman involved in the conversation who's like really adamant about we should kill her so she doesn't have a chance to kill us. And Kira is getting like so pissed about it, and like later on is like referring to this woman as someone who just constantly craves bloodshed. And I'm like, girl, she doesn't want you to kill her. She wants to kill you preventatively. I don't like what are we talking about? And I just think that's like an interesting choice, but like this is the kind of thing I see like just a lot in books. It is a cheap way to set up a semi-antagonistic character for the main character, and it's usually a woman being upset at another woman, but it's like when you actually look at the other woman's perspective, it's like, no, that's entirely reasonable. Like I don't I don't understand why you're upset. But anyway, I just wanted to give that quick little update while I thought of it, and I will continue reading. Hello, apologies if I look like hell. It has been an evening, which is why I am recording this update on the couch where I can sit instead of standing in my room. I finished reading this book. Sorry for not giving more updates while I was reading. I had thoughts, but I just didn't update. So I'm going to try and get into this without getting too spoilery. I definitely like parts of this book. I like the overall plot. I like the, I don't know if politics is quite the right word, but like the machinations and intrigue, I guess. I appreciated how it represented recovery from alcoholism. I liked the queer representation, especially because there's a fair amount of bi rep. Well, not a lot of bi rep, but there's like a couple bi characters, and they're like both pretty prominent. The main character is bi. I liked the like gradual hints we got about this really important person in Kira's past, and then how that was finally like explained and revealed. I liked the self-harm and recovery representation. I also liked the tension between Kira and Riven. That being said, lots of issues on a prose level. I found many typos. I found misused words and just like phrases that are worded in a way that just you don't need. Like there's extra words that you don't need. So like I smelled the scent of. You don't need to put the scent of. Just say I smelled. I smelled the scent of damp earth. I smelled earth. I smelled damp earth. You don't need scent of in there. And I found like that specific example I found several times. And like, you know, word proximity issues, like words being repeated a lot in the same page or even the same paragraph, sometimes even the same sentence. So this definitely needed more line edits. That is a definite issue. There's also like there were a few scenes, one in particular where the book just kind of forgot about Kira's alcoholism. She was at a big like a ball or gala or whatever, and there was wine everywhere, and she commented on the wine and described the wine, but there was no reference to like either her feeling a craving for it or her not feeling a craving for it and her thoughts regarding that, or even like, you know, being so focused on everything that's going on that she doesn't even have time to worry about the wine. She has to focus on everything else. Like any kind of acknowledgement that just like wasn't there in that scene. It does come back in later, but at that point it was like kind of not being acknowledged. I also like, as much as I liked the actual tension that is established between Kira and Riven, there is an element of like, there's this sense of like, oh, there's this electric connection. There's this draw between us. There's this irresistible magnetism. It's like we don't need that because you're already establishing convincing tension. So like why are we doing this shit? Like we don't need to do that. And like that's just a personal pet peeve of mine. I don't like that trope. There's also like a very brief semi-smutty scene that is like not very well written. The twist at the end, I'm a little confused by. I'm trying to get into it without getting spoilery. But, like, there's a person that's involved who has technically been, like, above everything that they've been doing. And so it's revealed. Like, Kira didn't know that there was a person above all of them, but now it's revealed that it is. And it's not just revealed that there was someone orchestrating all of it, but also who was orchestrating all of it. But I'm, like, kind of confused about, like, not why this person is doing that, but why they went the route they did to reveal it to Kira, because it's like, I thought we already established we were all on the same page. So why do we have to do it like that? And also you have multiple people who Kira does trust and is like okay with following, who could probably try to break the news to her more gently and like persuasively, and instead this is happening. And like Kira even tried to talk to one of them about it like the chapter before, and they like quickly brushed over it and distracted her with something else. And it's like, but you could have like, or you could have told her. Like, I don't understand. I don't understand why we had to go this route. But sure. This book is like, there's aspects I do really like about it, and I think I might continue reading, at least for the second book, because I like the first one enough.
that I might give the second book a try. And like, if the same issues are like really persistent, I might not continue the series. But there is like a hope and a potential for it to improve. But unfortunately, like, I'm not going to be able to rate this book super high. I'm torn between, I think it's a 3.5. I almost wanted to give it a 4, but like the last chunk was like, you know, the smut scene wasn't very good, and then there's this weird twist at the end, and then there's some pacing issues where like we had this really, really big dramatic moment, and then several chapters that are just like very slow, and like it doesn't really feel like a denouement exactly, but like I don't know. I don't know. Oh, also there's a reveal about Kira's backstory that I'm like not surprised by, but also like I can't tell if it actually makes things make more sense or if it opens up issues. But whatever, it's fine. So yes, I think I'm gonna give this a 3.5. Also, oh, I need to go get my book bingo. Yes, it's backwards. Just deal with it. I'm not getting my tripod out right now. So this book does technically have a sex worker in it, but excuse you. So this book does technically have a sex worker in it, but it's like a really, really minor character very briefly, so I don't think I'm going to count that. The main character does get like captured and stuff at moments, so I think I'm going to put it down for that, although I don't know that she is necessarily in like a jail or a dungeon, but like the spirit is there. It's fine. Also, I don't know what else I would put, because it definitely doesn't take place in like New York, you know? I'm tired. We're just gonna call this. It's sure. Apparently, I also can't use highlighter. I'm tired. I'm gonna wrap this video here. Thank you so much for watching. If you made it this far, comment some kind of knife emoji below because of broken blade. Oh, I also have to remember to do my buzzword challenge thing because this fits for one of the cover challenges. Anyway, comment some kind of blade emoji. Thank you so much for watching. I need to go to sleep. Goodbye.